let's get back to the Niners defense. We talked about how they couldn't stop Kyler Murray, which is interesting because it was the third time they faced him. They should know, the coaches, the players. It was the first time they faced DeAndre Hopkins. They faced him before, but it was the first time they faced him since he came to the Cardinals, and he destroyed them. 150 yards, touchdown. The only guy they needed to stop, they couldn't stop him. So what's interesting is the Cardinals traded for him in like February or March, a long time ago. And the Niners knew they didn't have any cornerback who could cover him man-to-man. They drafted no corners this year. They signed no corners this year. The only corner they've drafted the last 2 years is currently on their practice squad. And now they've realized, gee, maybe we need a corner to cover this guy twice a year. What do you think about that, Dad? The fact that they keep loading up the defensive tackles and defensive linemen and just don't touch the cornerback position.
You said a couple of sentences ago, they think, well, maybe we need a corner. How do you know they think that? They still may not think they need a corner. I mean, I got to tell you, in their taking in the way they've accumulated wide receivers and cornerbacks, it's like they're in dreamland. You know, they knew they were going to go after, they were going to have to face Hopkins. He caught 14 passes. It's like he wasn't being covered, right?
He wasn't covered. They were playing zone, which is not covering. It's tackling. It's tackling.
He was not being covered.
Yeah.
It was there were two things they had to do: stop the quarterback from running all over the place. They couldn't do that because Shanahan said it was too hard, and they couldn't stop DeAndre Hopkins because God forbid that you should actually double cover a guy. God forbid that you should have poor old Larry Fitzgerald have to beat you. I mean, I love Larry Fitzgerald.
God forbid you draft a cornerback at any point.
Yeah.
God forbid.
I would say, again, in terms of roster creation, this is, I don't know who to blame. But I got to tell you, Shanahan?
Yes.
Shanahan.
His team.
Okay. Kyle, we're blaming you. You never blame yourself, so you need to hear this. Your cornerbacks suck. When they now they may be very good in zone coverage, but you're not going to stop DeAndre Hopkins with the cornerbacks you have. Richard Sherman, God love him, is too slow. You can't do it anymore. The other guy's Mosley.
Too small, not good.
Too small, not good enough. So we're telling you, you're going to play these guys again. You're going to have problems with DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe you want to get a cornerback. If not, Kyle, you're going to have to duck. You're good at ducking tough questions. You're going to have to do it again. Duck and run.
He's not going to win a Super Bowl with these cornerbacks. They're a big reason they lost the Super Bowl last year. I mean, on 3rd and 15 in the Super Bowl, when they lost it, Shanahan had to call, Robert Saleh had to call zone coverage, which no defensive coordinator would do in that situation. You blitz and you go man-to-man. He called zone because of his corners. I mean, he understands what he has. He can't make these guys do what they can't do. He's trying to play to their strengths. And they lost.
I would like to say something in defense of Robert Saleh, because many things I get on Twitter is Saleh sucks. He sucked last year. They should get rid of him, blah, 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 blah. Okay. You know, I suppose maybe they're a better, maybe George Seifert was a better defensive coordinator than Robert Saleh. I think Robert Saleh is pretty good. When you ask him to cover DeAndre Hopkins with what he has back there, what's he going to do?
There's no right answer. There's no solution.
There's no right answer. And I'm saying that Kyle put his own defensive coordinator in a bad position. And if they couldn't cover, of course I put it on Saleh, but I put it equally on Shanahan. I have to say that.
I would put it on Shanahan too. He has the overriding vision for what this team should be. And he explained it. After the draft, people asked him, oh, gee, you drafted Javon Kinlaw, another defensive lineman. Would you take a defensive lineman every year in the first round if you could? And he goes, proud. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, ever since I was a kid, ask any of my friends. When we played Madden growing up, my first pick was always Michael Strahan. They would take Randy Moss or Steve Young, but I would always take Michael Strahan. This is Kyle Shanahan revealing his team roster building strategy through Madden, the video game. So he already said, I would always draft a defensive lineman first. Well, we've talked about this. Is that smart? Should you be building your defense front to back or back to front? We see right now why you need to have quality corners and how pass rushers can't fix everything. First of all, Kinlaw is not a pass rusher, so that's a problem. They drafted a run stuffer. He's not going to help the Niners secondary. Anyway.
I would say, Kyle, my impression, and I could be wrong, is you're not playing Madden anymore. This is the big leagues. Yeah. You're not playing Madden anymore. And Grant and I have been saying, Grant more because he's brighter than I am, but we've been saying for a long time, where's your secondary? Especially your corners. Yeah. Like you have all these, invest so much in the linemen and linebackers, great. But in the league, the way it is now, they get the ball out fast. They're fast wide receivers or elusive and great, like Hopkins. What do you have? So you have your linemen are overrunning the quarterback. They're failing, and your cornerbacks can't cover the great one wide receiver that's right. You need at least two guys to cover him. So you fail on the front end and the back end. I don't think that's very good, and I don't think it's a winning strategy.
Now, to be fair, in the next couple of weeks, the Niners are going to face a couple of quarterbacks who can't move, like Kyler Murray, and they're going to make those guys look sick. The Niners defense is going to look like the last year defense, I think, right. When they go against stationary quarterbacks. But they got another game against Kyler Murray. They got 2 games against Russell Wilson. They got a game against Cam Newton, a game against Josh Allen. More and more, you face mobile quarterbacks in the NFL, and the Niners haven't adjusted. They don't even have a plan yet for what they're going to do. They're saying, well, we'll just try not to get 15-yard penalties when we hit them.
Yeah, and if you want to blame us, it's hard. Take in mind, it's hard to stop these guys. Oh, okay, it's hard.
Maybe you should get one.
So what you're telling me is the Niners defense is geared to defeat mediocre pocket quarterbacks.
Well, I wouldn't even say mediocre ones. I mean, look what they did to Aaron Rodgers.
It's true. It's true.
But if you can get away from those pass rushers, oh my God, that defense is not good. I mean, those cornerbacks can't cover. So if you can protect yourself and by like 3 seconds, you can do good things. Mahomes did it. Murray's done it. Wilson does it. That's what you got to do. But you have to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Okay.
All right.
Well, the Niners are supposed to be one of the best teams. They ought to be able to have an effective answer to those kind of quarterbacks. Right. And what we're saying now, at least based on what happened Sunday, they don't.
Exactly. The bar is not for the Niners to be a good team. They're supposed to be winning the Super Bowl. And they're not going to win the Super Bowl without a solution to this, because the teams they're going to have to face in the playoffs, if they get there, are going to be teams with quarterbacks like this.